Awesome. Well, hey, Jennifer, thank you for joining us. We are
Yes.
excited to have you share about careers in the veterinary field today. And we'll just go ahead and pass it over to you.
Perfect. And you can see my screen okay?
Yep, everything looks good.
Hear me, everything? All right. Well, thank you for this opportunity. And what um, I'm going to talk to you about today is just careers in general in veterinary medicine, including careers in animal welfare as well. So I'll give you a general overview. So veterinary medicine and animal welfare careers. So an introduction. The passion to work with animals, as well as the need for employees, is just growing at unprecedented rates. It's actually at an all-time high, and nobody sees any relief in sight. A recent report that just came out shows that it would take 30 years of new graduates to meet the 10-year industry need for credentialed veterinary technicians. So 30 years to meet the needs of the next 10 years. So again, I cannot stress enough how much veterinary personnel are needed. So what is a credentialed veterinary technician? I feel like a lot of the public or high school students don't really understand what a credentialed veterinary technician is. And when I say credentialed, that means depending on the state that you live in, it could be certified. In Colorado, that's a registered veterinary technician, or in some states, it's called a licensed veterinary technician, but they have their credentials. So I always ask, do you know what a human nurse is? I think most of us have been to the doctors. We know we have a vision of what a human nurse does. Have you had your teeth cleaned? Do you know what a dental hygienist is? X-rays taken is done in human medicine by an X-ray technician. When you have your blood work checked, there's a laboratory technician that does all of that. And then if you ever have surgery or a procedure done, there's actually a nurse that helps with the anesthesia portion. So in veterinary medicine, the veterinary technician is actually all of those. We're the x-ray technician, we're the nurse, we're the laboratory technician. We do it all. So these are some actual pictures of veterinary technicians at work. On the left, there's a veterinary technician taking x-rays, holding the dog. Our patients aren't always as cooperative as human patients. So we can't tell them, lay there, let me take an x-ray. So we have to wear lead gowns, lead thyroid shields, lead gloves to take our x-rays. In some states, it's actually illegal to do that. So then we're required to sedate all patients for x-rays. But in Colorado, we are allowed to hold our patients with the appropriate equipment on. On the right is a picture of a veterinary technician actually cleaning a dog's teeth. Same thing in veterinary medicine, our patients aren't going to sit there and hold their mouth open to get their teeth cleaned. So we have to utilize anesthesia so we can properly clean their teeth and take dental x-rays. It takes at least 2 years of intensive coursework to become a credentialed veterinary technician. And then after you graduate, so going to school to become a veterinary technician, you earn an associate's degree, and then you're eligible to take what we call the VTNE, which is the Veterinary Technician National Exam. It's the same exam throughout the country and Canada. Canada is also part of the United States Veterinary Technician Association. So we all take the same exam. Passing that exam, then you earn your title depending on what state you're in, registered veterinary technician, licensed veterinary technician. But we do it all. Here's just some pictures to look at. This is a cool picture, not cool for the patient, but of a dog, an x-ray of a dog taken by a veterinary technician. And this dog has a fractured radius and ulna. I don't know if you can see right in the middle. So that's something where the veterinary technician would be responsible for getting those images to the veterinarian. And then most likely at this point, the veterinarian would order you to go ahead and give pain medication, possibly bandaging, but taking care of this patient. This image is of a horse under anesthesia. So any type of veterinary personnel, whatever level you're at, you do have the opportunity to work with. Do you want to work in large animal with horses and cattle and goats? Or do you want to work with dogs and cats or birds and ferrets and guinea pigs? Not only do we encompass all of the skills of a dental hygienist and a nurse, we also have to learn about all these different species. So again, in human nursing, they're learning about humans. We have to learn about it all in veterinary medicine because you never know what you're going to see. Snakes, reptiles, things like that. We kind of learn about it all. And again, this is a doctor in surgery with veterinary personnel assisting with the surgery. Horses are not that different from dogs and cats. Everything is just a lot bigger. Here is a veterinary personnel working in the pharmacy. So most veterinary clinics have a built-in pharmacy instead of, they do work a little bit with like Walgreens and King Soopers, Walmart pharmacy, but they also have a small in-house pharmacy. So it could be any person working in the clinic that has to go fill that prescription, count out pills, make labels, and then go over those instructions with the client. It's also, there's tough days. Some people, it's not uncommon for me to hear interested parties say, I want to go into veterinary medicine because I don't want to work with people. But unless you're in a nonprofit or a shelter, typically these animals come attached to people. And we do spend a lot of time working with them, making the best decisions for their pets, and also helping them say goodbye and make those decisions. So there can be heartbreaking days. But what we always strive for is those positive days outweigh those kind of heartbreaking days that take an emotional toll. Oops. So then the next question is, what is a veterinary assistant? So I started off by telling you what a veterinary technician does. And then we also have something called a veterinary technician assistant, which is another type of person that works in a veterinary clinic. And essentially the assistant helps the veterinary technician with everything that they have to do in a day. So they play a critical role in assisting the credentialed veterinary technician with their daily tasks. They can perform duties such as restraint, giving medications, and preparing surgical suites. In this picture, the veterinary technician is drawing blood and the veterinary assistant is holding the patient so the technician can get their job done. So stackability. This will give you a brief overview. And all the pictures I wanted to point out that I've included here are real pictures from our students and animals that we've worked with at the Community College of Denver. So stackability, so veterinary assistant, veterinary technology courses are CTE or career and technical education courses. You can earn a veterinary assistant certificate. And what that looks like, most programs wherever you go are about the same. It's about 16 credits. It's a non-degree program, and you earn that certificate to work as a certified veterinary assistant, the helper to the technician. The nice thing, that's a good way to get your feet in the door and decide whether you like that or not. And then if you're like, you know what, I really like this, I want to enter the workforce, or you want to continue your schooling, then you can take the next step and enter an associate's degree program to become a veterinary technician. At our school, 3 of the veterinary assistant courses will transfer to the vet tech program. So if you decide to continue, you already have 3 of your veterinary technology courses out of the way. And then at that point, again, you can enter the workforce or you can become a veterinary technician specialist. That's another way to elevate yourself. A veterinary technician specialist is a lot of on-the-job training. So you're working in the field, say you want to become an internal medicine specialist. You will work with a veterinarian that's an internal medicine specialist for a couple years. It's usually a few thousand hours of working in the field, working with that specialist, writing case studies, and then there's an examination to get the official title of veterinary technician specialist. And right now there's 12 different specialists that are approved. So internal medicine, equine, dentistry, and several others. So lots of different opportunities to find your own path. And then we have had graduates of our vet tech program go on to potentially get their bachelor's degree or go on and become a doctor of veterinary medicine. We have one of our alumni right now that is up at Colorado State University earning their doctor of veterinary medicine degree. So lots of different options, and they all stack upon one another. Looking at those pathways a little bit closer, if you decide to take some veterinary assistant courses after that, you can enter the workforce. Very employable. You can work or volunteer in a traditional vet clinic, or you can look at zoos, animal welfare, shelters, agriculture, boarding facilities, lots of different options to choose from. Or on the right there, if you take your courses and you want to go on to earn your veterinary technology degree, then it creates a whole new set of pathways that you can explore. You can earn that veterinary technology associate of applied science degree. And then you can, again, enter the workforce. You can work in a traditional veterinary clinic. In Colorado, what's really nice is we have just a lot of specialty clinics. So our students really have a lot of opportunities for advanced medicine, MRI and CAT scans and chemotherapy and specialized orthopedics. So lots of opportunities where we live. Also zoo medicine, like I said, animal welfare, shelter, all of the shelters as well in Colorado. We have the most amazing animal shelters, and they have full veterinary clinics within the shelter where veterinarians, assistant technicians, and kennel workers are all employed. Or you can take the pathway on the left and become a specialist or earn your bachelor's degree and go on to become a doctor of veterinary medicine. These are some wages that were shared with me from Denver Animal Protection in the city of Denver, one of our partners that we work with for our students. And they hire all different levels of animal welfare workers. So there's volunteer opportunities starting at the age of 16. I know in the past for high school students that were interested in getting into veterinary medicine, it was hard if you were under 18. Well, a lot of, especially our shelters, have lowered that to the age of 16 because they do want to get volunteers in there. They want to get you in and interested in working with animals. And then you can work as an animal care attendant, as a veterinary assistant, that registered veterinary technician in Colorado, assisting with surgeries, helping with the day-to-day care of the animals in the shelter. And then shelter veterinarians. Every shelter that I know around here has at least a part-time, if not one or more full-time veterinarians that need help. And then there's the client service representatives that work with the public coming in interested in adoptions. The animal control officers. So this is more of the law enforcement type, working with the public on ensuring that animals are taken care of. Animals that are roaming free are brought to the shelter to seek safety or reunited with their owners. All the animal welfare organizations, their main passion is getting animals back with their owners. So they do a lot of that. And then behavior and transfer coordinator. Animals in the shelters, if need be, will go through behavior assessments to see what sort of modifications need to take place to make sure they're adoptable. Do they need to go to foster care? Do they need more work with being around other animals? Lots of behavior modifications? Have they been in the shelter longer than what is desired? So they need more interactive play. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the doors in these shelters. And then transfer coordinator. Really awesome. Again, I think it's too unique to Colorado. I wish we saw this throughout the country where the shelters work together. If one shelter is full, they'll transfer animals to another shelter, or potentially they have a dog that's been there for a couple months and it's not getting adopted. They may transfer that dog to another shelter where a whole new population of the public can see that dog to increase its chances of being adopted. Foster care coordinator, that's another role that helps get animals into homes that are not yet ready to be adopted. Maybe they're recovering from a significant surgery, or they just need to become more social, or they're a newborn litter of kittens that is too young to be adopted. So foster care, and then the volunteer coordinator, all these different roles, people that come in for volunteers, shelters need someone to coordinate all that. And pretty, the pay is not bad with the animal welfare organizations and all the different roles. So for our high school opportunities, you're like, I want to, get into this. What can I do? This picture here is actually a picture I just added from a couple of weeks ago at one of our shelters. I was there with my students and they asked us to weigh and sex a whole litter of puppies. And I was like, well, I guess so if we have to. So we had a lot of fun hanging out. There were 7 puppies. So volunteer opportunities, like I said, many of the shelters have lowered that age to 16. So you can get in there and start volunteering. There are some high school internship opportunities as well. You just need to reach out to those individual shelters. It's a little bit harder in veterinary clinics, but I do know veterinary clinics, the private ones, will hire on animal care workers at the age of 16. So you can begin working in a veterinary clinic as your schooling permits while you're in high school, cleaning kennels, walking dogs, things like that. There's lots of opportunities and need in the veterinary hospitals. And then, of course, for veterinary assistant, you can start working as a veterinary assistant with on-the-job training. There also are some programs where you can actually start taking veterinary assistant courses in high school, and then you can either continue working in the field or continue that education after high school. But there are some programs where you can start working on those courses while you're in high school. So a high school education with career and technical education courses allows for everything that I've kind of already mentioned, working in a traditional veterinary clinic, a zoo, animal welfare, shelter medicine, agriculture, research. When I say research animal care, those are animals within the research facility. Veterinary technicians oversee the animals in research facilities. So our rats and our mice and our guinea pigs and our chinchillas, veterinary technicians and veterinary personnel ensure that those animals are cared for, they are provided enrichment, and they are kept comfortable and pain-free. So lots of opportunities. This is Logan, one of our students that's about to graduate, holding a puppy, which our students love to do. Prerequisite courses. So for our veterinary technology associate's degree program, we do require biology, English, and math, college level biology, English, and math. Some veterinary technician programs, you can take these while you're in the program. We require you to have them beforehand to demonstrate that you're ready for vet tech school. And also, once you start vet tech school, it's a lot of coursework, so we want you to have these done. These are also courses, especially the English and math, that you can take in high school through concurrent enrollment with any of the community colleges, or AP courses will also substitute for those. If you have AP Calculus, we can take that, or AP Literature, we can take that as well. So keep that in mind if that's something where you're like, I want to start working on my prerequisites. You can definitely start that in high school as well. Here's some pictures of what life is like in our classroom. We do have veterinary technology and veterinary assistant students. The top picture are students in our lab working with microscopes. We look at a lot of blood, feces, and urine. The lower picture is Gilead, one of our instructors. We call him Big Red, which is a life-size horse. He is plastic though, where she'll do a lot of demonstrations with. And then on the lower right, we do have real live animal procedures at our school. We do spays and neuters and dental procedures. So this is a picture of a patient getting its teeth cleaned. So our students not only learn how to clean the teeth, they also learn how to run the anesthesia using all the monitors and monitor the anesthesia with our faculty present in a nice, comfortable learning environment. We always want to make sure that you know too that it's not just cats and dogs. These are all pictures of things that we've done with our students. And we have a picture on the left with a bunny rabbit. We went out to I'm drawing a blank on the name, the Rocky Mountain House Rabbit Society, I think it's called, House Rabbit Shelter, where they have about 200 bunnies. So we were able to spend some time with them. We have a horse rescue that we've worked closely with for many, many years. So our students get to go out there and take care of those horses. We work with goats and alpacas and pigs. And then we also have done some work with the Gabriel Foundation that has about 150 different types of birds. So our students can learn how to handle those. And they're all what we consider non-prey birds. So cockatoos, parrots, things like that. So our students get to learn how to handle those as well. And then that's it. And then I did pop up my contact information as well as the website for all of our programming. And my email, I'm always happy to talk about any different pathway in veterinary medicine or connect you to different volunteer opportunities, to the clinics we work with, to the shelters we work with, but lots of different opportunities out there. And as I said at the very first slide, you're definitely needed.
Thank you. Does anyone
You're
have
welcome. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hi, Jennifer. So my name's Rebecca Flores and I'm with GSN as well. But my question is, because of the time, what would you recommend to students that are like, oh man, that's going to take like 10 years to get to where I want to do? Like, but seeing that you have hands-on type of things, I think that's beautiful.
Yes.
So what would you do for those students that are interested, but the time frame seems long? Like, I know it doesn't necessarily,
Right.
I don't know, how do you talk to the students in that sense?
I always recommend, I mean, the big thing is a lot of our students want to get into a clinic and start making a wage, right? That's what we all need to do. So I always recommend they can do a couple of things. Veterinary assistant program that can be done in a semester to earn that certificate. And then they can start working in the field. And then if they want to continue their schooling, they can certainly do that part-time or full-time, but at least they'll have that basic foundation to become employed and make a livable wage. We also do have an apprenticeship program, so they can hop right in working in a clinic while they're going to school to become a registered veterinary technician. So there are ways to get into animal welfare or a veterinary clinic right away and kind of have those desires filled while taking classes and really reaching their goals.
Yeah. I see them, I'm like, oh my God, that's a big horseman. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those images are really important because sometimes our students are like, well, I work on the farm or, I have these things and all the things that they need to do So it's so detailed. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was great.
Good. I'm glad you thought so. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about like your journey into this field? Like, did you start out as a veterinary technician or kind of what did your journey look like?
Yeah. So I am one of those that I always knew I wanted to work with animals. So I've always wanted to do that. And I was actually 12 when I started volunteering. I grew up in a very small town in a local shelter, and I was able to do that at that age at the time. And I just started out walking dogs. And then once I turned 15, I started working in a vet clinic part-time. And I just knew my path had always been aligned with as soon as I graduate high school, I'm going right to vet tech school. And that's what I did. So I went to vet tech school, earned my associate's degree, and I worked in the field for a few years. And this was back east. And then I did, after working for a couple of years, decided that I wanted to go on and get my bachelor's degree. So that's when I moved to Colorado, earned my bachelor's degree, and continued working in the field throughout that whole time and after earning my bachelor's degree. So I've always been involved in it in one form of another. I've worked in shelters, I've worked in specialty medicine, um, and now I teach veterinary technology and veterinary assistant students. I sort of fell into teaching. I had a good friend that worked at a school and said, "Hey, we have a spot open. Would you be interested?" And at that point, I was ready for a change. So, and that was 20 years ago. So I've been teaching for 20 years. Um, but it was one of those things that I always knew that I wanted to work with animals, and I wasn't sure how far I wanted to go. I wasn't sure if I wanted to become a veterinarian. Um, and I knew after going to vet tech school that that was where I wanted to be. I wanted that more hands-on. Um, I didn't, I didn't want to go to vet school. I knew that right away that that was just a whole nother level. But I was really happy with the role that the veterinary technician played.